Palestinian Authority calls on the U.S. administration immediate intervention to stop Israeli military escalation in the occupied Palestinian territories. The U.S. Army in Iraq announces the killing of a U.S. soldier during an exchange of fire in Diyala Governorate at the center of Iraq. And Washington Post daily newspaper favors presidential candidates Senator Barack Obama due to his special characters during the presidential race. News in details from Yemen Satellite Channel. I'm Ahmed Mohammed Al-Faqih. The Parliament Deputy Speaker Himyar Abdullah Al-Ahmar has returned to Sana'a Friday following participation at the 119th round of session of the International Parliament Union took place from 13 through 15 of current October in Geneva. In a statement to Sabah News Agency, Al-Ahmar says Yemen's delegation has gone through in-depth discussion over a number of parliamentary issues in this international gathering. A session of talks between our country and the United States was Thursday, headed by Deputy Prime Minister for Economical Affairs and Minister of Planning and International Cooperation, Abdul Karim Ismail Al-Arhabi, and the head of the American Agency for Development, Mrs. Henrietta Fore. The two sides have discussed bilateral cooperation and means of enhancing it, the ongoing agency projects in Yemen, priority of future support, especially the economical, technical, good governance, education, agriculture, water and energy were among the two countries' talks. Deputy Prime Minister has confirmed on deep ties with the development partners, precisely the United States. He also pointed out to the challenges of overpopulation, water shortage, increasing of poverty level, and its negative effects on Yemen, while the head of the American Development Agency has reviewed the ongoing projects in the governorates of Sa'da, Marib, Al-Jawf, Shabwa, Amran, and others, which funded by the agency, confirming continuous development support to Yemen. The meeting was attended by Yemen's ambassador to Washington, Abdul Wahab Abdullah Al-Hajri, and also a session at the Challenging Millennium Establishment headquarters was also held between Yemen and the United States. The Deputy Prime Minister for Economical Affairs and Minister of Planning and International Cooperation, Abdul Karim Ismail Al-Arhabi, has met in the UN headquarters in New York City with the Deputy UN Secretary General, Dr. Asha Rose, and reviewed with her development process in Yemen, as well as latest regional and international development. The UN Deputy has pointed out to the increasing oil prices and its bad effect on the food expenses of development countries, among them Yemen, promising continuous development support to our country. Deputy Prime Minister has also met in the UN Secretary General Assistant and the UN Development Program Assistant, Ahmed Ali Massouswa, and assisted the UN Development Program projects in Yemen in different fields. Deputy Prime Minister for Economical Affairs has also met in New York City with the head of the UN Development Program Assistant, Ad Mekert, and discussed with him the program's projects in Yemen. The Palestinian Authority has called on the U.S. administration an immediate intervention to stop Israeli military escalation in the Palestinian occupied territories. Head of the negotiation affairs at the PLO, Saib Uriqat, has emphasized on Israeli commitment of ceasefire in the West Bank and to be extended to the Strait later, warning that Israel escalation would result into a circle of violation, chaos, extremism, and bloodshed. U.S. Army in Iraq has announced the killing of one of its figures following indirect shooting in Diyala Governorate at the center of Iraq. Meanwhile, 4 people were reported killed and 11 others were wounded in 2 separate attacks in Baghdad and Mosul. The Iraqi army has meanwhile arrested 4 people north of Mosul, accusing of targeting Christians in the city earlier. Earlier, at least 12 Christians were killed and a number of their houses were demolished, causing a massive evacuation of thousands heading to Nainawa north of Mosul, where the majority of Christians are living. On the other side, U.S. Secretary of Defense Robert Gates is in discussion with Congress regarding the U.S. existence in Iraq argument. 14 people were killed and 10 others wounded in mortar shelling in Somalia capital of Mogadishu. According to eyewitnesses, our men have targeted artillery shelling, targeting Ugandan army base in the city, resulted in the exchange of fire for several hours. Seventeen Afghan civilians have been killed in NATO arid south of Afghanistan. A spokesman of Helmand governor says that a big building collapsed on 3 families inside due to airstrike, confirming the killing of 17 citizens, among them women and children. 11 our men were killed, 13 more were injured in Pakistani army shelling in a tribal area with Afghanistan borders. Pakistani security sources say the shelling took place in Bajur area, which witnesses tough battle between government troops and armed men since last August. Meanwhile, the UN Commissioner for Refugees say that some 190,000 people were forced to flee from Bajur area, where the fire broke out. Turkish army says it inflicted heavy losses of PKK elements during security operation conducted in southeast of the Turkish border with Iraq. Turkish army spokesman says that 35 PKK fighters were killed according to PKK radio transmission in the military operation in Şırnak province southeast of Turkey. Violence acts have escalated in the last few weeks following PKK armed men operation earlier in October and resulted in the killing of 17 Turkish soldiers. And finally, a Democratic presidential candidate, Senator Barack Obama, has been considered by Washington Post Daily News as federal candidate to qualify for President of the United States of America. The newspaper has also said that the Republican candidate campaign and selection of Sarah Palin as Vice President was a disappointing choice. Following the last debate between the two candidates, Obama is heading by 5 points according to the latest opinion polls. And to end the news, for a recap of the main stories. The Palestinian Authority calls on the U.S. administration immediate intervention to stop Israeli military escalation and the occupied Palestinian territories. And the U.S. Army in Iraq announces the killing of